Imagine a world where your place in society, your job, your home, everything, wasn't decided by how much money you have, but by the luck of the draw. Today, we're going to dive into three radically different futures, and they all revolve around one powerful idea: the civic lottery. So let's just jump right in with a pretty intense question. What if every single purchase you made, from a coffee to a new phone, entered you into a lottery that you were absolutely desperate to lose? Well, that question brings us to our first vision, and let me tell you, it's a dark one. Think of it as a satirical look at capitalism pushed to its absolute most extreme limit. This is a world where every transaction is a gamble, and consumerism becomes a literal game of Russian roulette. The system itself is, well, it's kind of brilliant in how simple and terrifying it is. The government calls it patriotic service, a noble humanitarian deployment. But let's be real. The more you spend, the higher your chances of being exiled. Every single purchase you make pushes you that much closer to the edge. So, as you can probably guess, society just starts to unravel. The economy grinds to a halt because, of course, people are terrified to spend money. Black markets and old-school bartering systems explode. And in a really perverse twist, the wealthy find loopholes. They create things like lottery insurance and literally pay poorer people to take on their risk for them. So the system that was maybe meant to be an equalizer, nope, it just makes the gap between the rich and poor even wider. And that right there, that's the fatal flaw of this whole model. A society that's built on fear is just never going to last. It's inherently unstable. You try to control people through punishment, but people will always find ways to cheat the system. And that just leads to complete economic and social collapse. Okay, so that was the dystopia. Let's completely shift gears now and see how this same basic idea can build a totally different world. Instead of a punishment, what if the lottery was about civic duty, a much more pragmatic and, frankly, a much more humane approach? Okay, so here the stakes are completely different. You still have an incentive to maybe consume a little less, but the quote-unquote penalty is no longer a one-way ticket to the middle of nowhere. Instead, it's temporary, it's paid, and it's seen as honorable public service. The lottery gets reframed from a tool of fear into an instrument of shared responsibility. And this comparison really makes it crystal clear. That dystopian gamble, its goal was punishment, and that led to fear and collapse. It really is like Russian roulette. But this job reassignment model, it's all about encouraging civic duty, which leads to social cohesion. It's less of a death sentence and way more like being called for jury duty, an occasional shared responsibility. And what kind of jobs are we talking about here? Well, it's the essential stuff, the often invisible work that actually keeps society running. By turning these roles into a shared civic duty, the system makes sure that they're not just done, but they're valued. Everybody gets a first-hand appreciation for the hard work that underpins their entire world. This isn't a punishment, it's a vital contribution. And this is the really powerful insight from this model. When everyone, no matter how rich or powerful, has to occasionally pitch in and do these foundational jobs, it just breaks down class divides. It builds empathy. It builds a stronger, more connected community because shared sacrifice creates a shared identity. All right, now for our final vision, we're going to take a huge leap into the future, a future where the fundamental problem of scarcity has been solved. This isn't about managing resources anymore. It's about finding meaning in a world of almost limitless, automated abundance. Welcome to the post-scarcity world. As you can see, nearly all labor, we're talking manufacturing, transport, even medical diagnostics, is handled by AI and robots. This creates massive abundance, so everyone receives a guaranteed livable income. Survival is no longer the question. The real question is, what do we do now? In this future, the lottery gets completely inverted. Winning isn't a punishment. It's a privilege. It's an honor. With only a tiny handful of human jobs remaining, like AI oversight or ethical review, the lottery becomes the fairest way to distribute the profound responsibility of guiding the AI that runs society. The whole focus shifts from production to stewardship. So what does daily life even look like when you don't have to work? It becomes a renaissance. People dedicate their lives to art, to philosophy, to science, and to their communities. The focus shifts from making a living to simply living. The word career might even become a thing of the past. And this quote just captures humanity's new role perfectly. AI can optimize, it can calculate, it can produce, but it can't provide values or ethics or purpose. Humans become the soul of the system. We become responsible for setting the direction and making sure all this powerful technology actually serves our deepest values. So we've explored 3 totally distinct futures, all born from the same little seed, the civic lottery. Let's bring them all together for one final look. This table really brings it all into focus. You have the dystopian model, driven by fear, which completely fails to solve overconsumption. You have the pragmatic model, built on shared duty, which successfully tackles the problem of undervalued labor. And then the utopian model, centered on meaningful stewardship, which offers a solution to a potential lack of purpose. Each one shows us how the exact same tool can be used to build vastly different worlds. It all just depends on the values we choose to prioritize. And so, these 3 visions, one of fear, one of duty, and one of purpose, they leave us with a pretty profound question for our own time. As we stand on the edge of a future that could look like any of these, we really have to ask ourselves, what is the true purpose of work? Is it just for survival? Is it a social obligation? Or is it something more, our primary source of meaning in a world that's changing faster than ever? The answer to that is going to define the future we build.